The Chicago Bears are heading into one of the most intriguing seasons we have seen in a long time, and fans are buzzing with predictions, debates, and plenty of excitement about what this team can really do under the new regime. With Ben Johnson stepping in as the new head coach, Caleb Williams taking the reins as quarterback, and a schedule that feels like a roller coaster from start to finish, the big question is simple. Can this team finally make that long-awaited leap back into serious playoff contention? To answer that, we have to walk through the season game by game, considering the storylines, the challenges, and the opportunities that will shape how this year unfolds for Chicago. The season kicks off with a primetime showdown against the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football. This is a fascinating matchup because it not only opens the year, but also sets the tone for the entire division race. Minnesota will be handing the keys to rookie quarterback J.J. McCarthy, who will be making his very first professional start under the bright lights of Soldier Field. That's a tall order for any young quarterback, and it feels like a game the Bears absolutely have to take advantage of. Playing at home, with the energy of the fans behind them, Chicago has the chance to start strong and send a message that this is not the same old team. McCarthy might eventually become a solid player, but asking him to walk into Chicago and beat a defense that has had months to prepare for him is asking a lot. This feels like a hard-fought but winnable game for the Bears, a chance to get on the board early and set the tone at 1-0. Week 2 doesn't get any easier, though. The Bears head to Detroit to take on a Lions team that has established itself as the class of the NFC North. Detroit has one of the deepest rosters in the league. They are incredibly physical on both lines, and playing them on the road is always a battle. The storyline here is fascinating, as Ben Johnson spent time with the Lions and now faces his old organization. But revenge games are easier to talk about than to win. Detroit is a well-coached, well-oiled machine, and it's tough to see the Bears stealing this one on the road so early in the year. If Chicago can split those first 2 divisional games, though, that would still be considered a solid start. 1-1 after 2 weeks feels realistic, and if you offer that to most fans today, they would probably take it. In Week 3, things get really interesting. The Dallas Cowboys come to Soldier Field, and the headline is clear: no Micah Parsons in that defense. The Cowboys traded their superstar pass rusher to the Green Bay Packers, and that fundamentally changes what Dallas looks like up front. Without Parsons wrecking game plans, the Bears suddenly have a much more manageable path to protecting Caleb Williams and letting him find some rhythm. There's also the revenge narrative with Matt Eberflus, who will be on the opposite sideline, and that only adds more juice to the game. This isn't a walkover by any means, but it is the type of game Chicago can absolutely win if they execute. 2-1 through 3 games would be a huge momentum boost. Week 4 sends the Bears to Las Vegas to face the Raiders, and this is a tricky one. The Raiders might not be a true contender yet, but they've improved across the board, and going on the road is always dangerous. The energy around their new setup, with Pete Carroll helping to stabilize the culture, Geno Smith playing with something to prove, and Ashton Janney adding explosiveness, makes them a team you can't just overlook. For Chicago, this is the definition of a potential trap game. Coming off a big win at home, right before the bye week, you can see how this could turn into a letdown spot. If the Bears drop this one, sitting at 2-2 heading into the bye, that would not be a disaster. In fact, for a new head coach and rookie quarterback, a 2-2 start through 4 games might be exactly what you'd expect. The important part is splitting those early division games and avoiding a disastrous start. Coming out of the bye, Chicago gets another primetime stage, this time against the Washington Commanders. If there is ever a game where motivation will not be an issue, this is the one. After the embarrassing loss to Washington last season, the Bears will want revenge in front of a national audience. With extra rest, extra preparation time, and hopefully a healthier roster, this feels like the perfect spot for Ben Johnson to put together a statement win. If Chicago takes care of business here, that would put them at 3-2 and, more importantly, start building some real momentum. The following week brings the New Orleans Saints to Soldier Field, and this might be the softest game on the entire schedule. The Saints are a franchise in transition, and the roster simply doesn't stack up with most of the league. The fun storyline here is Caleb Williams facing Spencer Rattler, his old quarterback room mate at Oklahoma, before their careers took very different paths. But beyond that, there's not much to fear from New Orleans. This has to be a win for the Bears if they are serious about the postseason. 4-2 would be a dream scenario at this point in the season. Of course, the NFL has a way of humbling you quickly, and Week 7 does just that. A road trip to face Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens is about as tough as it gets. Baltimore has Super Bowl expectations, a deep defense, and a quarterback who can make magic happen on any play. It's hard to see Chicago stealing this one, especially on the road. Dropping to 4-3 feels realistic, and nobody should panic about that. Week 8 doesn't get any easier as the Bears stay on the road to face Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. 2 straight games against AFC North powerhouses is brutal, and if Chicago could somehow split them, that would be a huge success. Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and his offense can score in bunches. The Bengals' defense, though, still has some holes, and if the Bears' offensive line can give Caleb time, there are opportunities here. Picking up a win in Cincinnati would be a massive statement and push Chicago to 5-3, a record that would have the entire city buzzing. Week 9 brings the New York Giants to town. The Giants might surprise some people this year, but they're still a team with plenty of question marks, especially at quarterback. This is one of those games where if the Bears are truly a playoff team, you circle it as a must-win. Coming off the road trip, it could be a letdown spot, but with the home crowd behind them, Chicago should be able to get the job done. That would bring them to 6-3 and set up a tough divisional stretch. The rematch with Minnesota in Week 10 is where things start to get dicey. By this point, J.J. McCarthy will have several games of experience under his belt, and winning on the road in Minnesota is never easy. Splitting with the Vikings feels like the most logical outcome, and that would drop the Bears to 6-4. The next week, Aaron Rodgers comes to Soldier Field with the Steelers, and this could be his final appearance in Chicago. If there was ever a time to finally slay the dragon, this is it. The Bears absolutely have to win this one, not just for the standings, but for the emotional payoff of putting Rodgers in the rearview mirror. 7-4 would look pretty sweet heading into late November. Black Friday sends Chicago to Philadelphia to face the Eagles, and this is another brutal spot. Short week, holiday atmosphere, tough opponent, all the ingredients for a loss. Dropping to 7-5 would sting, but again, the key is how the Bears handle the following stretch of games. The schedule isn't forgiving, but if they can stay afloat, there's a path to double-digit wins. That's the opening 2/3 of the season, filled with ups, downs, revenge narratives, rookie tests, and some of the toughest opponents in the NFL. And yet, through all of it, you can see the outline of a team that could very realistically be sitting above 500 heading into December, with a chance to punch a playoff ticket down the stretch. Heading into the final stretch of the season, the Chicago Bears find themselves in a position they have not enjoyed in years: meaningful games in December. This is where the season truly defines itself, where the good teams separate from the rest, and where playoff dreams either come alive or fall apart. Sitting at 7 wins as they enter the last 5 weeks, the Bears know the task is clear. They have to navigate divisional showdowns, tricky road trips, and a late-season primetime clash with one of the NFC's elite. The schedule is unforgiving, but that's exactly the kind of challenge that shows what this team is really made of. Week 14 sets up a colossal rivalry game at Lambeau Field against the Green Bay Packers. No matter the circumstances, no matter the standings, Bears versus Packers is always personal. This time, it comes with even higher stakes because Green Bay made one of the boldest moves of the offseason by acquiring Micah Parsons. Adding a generational defensive weapon to a team already on the rise makes this matchup even tougher. Caleb Williams will be stepping into one of the most hostile environments in football, facing a defense built to disrupt young quarterbacks. Sweeping Green Bay might have been the dream back in the summer, but reality says a split is far more likely. Dropping this one on the road, falling to 7-6 would hurt, but the opportunity for revenge comes quickly. Back home in Week 15, the Cleveland Browns come to Soldier Field, and this game is the definition of a must-win. Cleveland is a team with more questions than answers, especially at quarterback, and by this stage of the season, they could be leaning on backups or struggling to hold things together. Chicago cannot afford to stumble here. For a playoff-caliber team, games like this are non-negotiable. Protect your home field, take care of business, and keep the momentum alive. With a victory, the Bears move to 8-6, staying in the thick of the postseason race. Just days later, the Packers come to Chicago for the rematch, and everything about this one feels massive. It's a short week, it's divisional football, and it could very well be the game that determines playoff positioning. By this time, Caleb Williams should be far more comfortable in the offense, and the coaching staff should have a clear idea of how to attack a defense that relies heavily on Parsons. The Bears cannot let Green Bay sweep them in Ben Johnson's first year. The fans won't stand for it. Soldier Field will be rocking, and with that energy behind them, Chicago delivers the split, moving to 9-6 on the season and keeping playoff hopes alive. That sets the stage for one of the biggest showdowns of the year, a Week 17 trip to face the San Francisco 49ers. On paper, this is a nightmare assignment. Cross-country travel, a primetime spotlight, and a matchup against one of the deepest, most physical rosters in football. But timing is everything in the NFL. The Bears come into this game with an extra day of rest, while San Francisco is returning from a Monday night road game in Indianapolis. Those small advantages add up in December, and suddenly, what looked like a mountain to climb feels a little more manageable. If Chicago can weather the early storm, if Caleb can stay poised against a fierce pass rush, there's a real chance for a statement win. Stealing one in San Francisco would push the Bears to 10 wins, a number that usually puts you in playoff territory. For a franchise that has endured so many lean years, the idea of walking into the Bay and coming out victorious would feel like a landmark moment. The bigger picture becomes clear when you step back. This team started the season 2-2, endured the inevitable growing pains of a new system and a rookie quarterback, but never let the wheels fall off. They rallied after the bye week, stacked wins when they needed to, and showed resilience in December. For years, the Bears have been searching for stability, for an identity, for a direction. 10-7 with a wild card berth might not be the finish line, but it feels like the first real step towards sustained success. What makes it even more exciting is that this doesn't feel like a one-year flash in the pan. The Bears are young, their core pieces are under contract, and the coaching staff has shown signs of creativity and adaptability. Caleb Williams, despite the rookie mistakes that inevitably came along the way, has flashed brilliance, the type of playmaking that only a handful of quarterbacks in the league can replicate. His chemistry with the receivers is growing, his pocket presence is developing, and his ability to bounce back from adversity is already clear. Defensively, while there are still holes to patch, the group has shown it can step up in big moments. The pass rush may not be elite yet, but it has improved. The secondary, led by young playmakers, has given fans plenty of reasons to be optimistic. And perhaps most importantly, the locker room looks united, buying into what Ben Johnson is preaching. That's no small thing in the NFL, where culture often makes the difference between a team that fades and a team that fights. Looking back at the predictions, the Bears finished about where many hoped, around 10 wins, right in the playoff picture. They didn't conquer the division, but they proved they belong in the conversation. They didn't beat every giant on the schedule, but they showed they can go toe-to-toe with anyone. And while the Lions may still be the team to beat in the NFC North, Chicago is closing the gap. Green Bay might have Parsons, Minnesota might have their young quarterback, but the Bears have something they haven't had in a long time: belief. Belief in their leader on the sideline, belief in their quarterback of the future, and belief that the days of mediocrity are coming to an end. If you had told Bears fans before the season that the team would finish 10-7, with a rookie quarterback leading them into January football, most would have signed up without hesitation. Playoff football is back within reach, and the foundation for something bigger is being laid brick by brick. The road ahead won't be easy. The NFC is stacked, and the divisional battles will only get nastier. But for the first time in a long time, Chicago has a seat at the table, and from here, anything feels possible. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The NFL rumor mill has been ablaze since the news broke that Trent Williams, arguably one of the most dominant offensive linemen in modern football, has reportedly joined the Chicago Bears, a move that could redefine the team's offensive identity and shake the league in ways few expected. Sources close to the situation suggest that Williams' arrival isn't just a strategic acquisition, it's a statement. Insiders claim that the Bears' front office has been quietly negotiating this transfer for months, understanding that adding a player of his caliber could instantly elevate the offensive line to elite status. Analysts speculate that Williams' presence may transform the Bears' approach to both pass protection and run blocking, giving quarterback Justin Fields more time to make plays in opening lanes that were previously choked by less experienced linemen. Observers around the league are whispering that this move may signal a renewed commitment to dominance in the trenches, a shift that could influence draft strategies and free agent pursuits for years to come. With Williams' reputation for unparalleled strength, technique, and football IQ, insiders insist that even the most formidable defensive fronts will need to recalibrate their approach when facing Chicago next season. The impact of Williams joining the Bears extends far beyond simple numbers or statistics. It is the kind of intangible boost that can redefine a team's identity. Rumors circulating in locker rooms and social media forums suggest that younger linemen on the Bears roster are already absorbing his advice and adjusting their game, as his presence brings a level of professionalism and leadership rarely seen in the sport. Pundits argue that Williams' skill set allows for greater flexibility in offensive schemes, enabling play designers to experiment with complex blocking assignments and multi-layer protection sets that were previously unthinkable. Coaches reportedly are thrilled at the prospect of integrating such a transformative talent into practice and game planning, as it opens possibilities for creative run schemes and enhanced quarterback mobility without compromising protection integrity. Some insiders even suggest that Williams' arrival could attract other high-caliber free agents eager to join a line anchored by a proven titan, further elevating Chicago's roster in ways that are only beginning to be imagined. Fans, meanwhile, are abuzz with speculation that this move might finally propel the Bears into serious playoff contention, stirring excitement that has been scarce in recent seasons. Speculation continues to swirl around how Williams' addition will change the dynamics of the Bears' offensive line in terms of both matchups and strategy. Sources familiar with internal discussions hint that offensive coordinator Luke Getsy and line coach Juan Castillo have already begun envisioning packages that exploit Williams' elite pass-blocking skills and run-setting prowess. Rumors indicate that the Bears are considering reshuffling positions along the line to maximize synergy, suggesting that Williams' versatility could allow for unprecedented rotational schemes that keep opponents off balance. Observers note that the psychological effect on opposing defensive coordinators cannot be understated. Facing a player who is widely considered one of the top, if not the top, left tackle in football forces adjustments that ripple throughout the defensive front. Industry insiders have hinted that early season matchups will be heavily analyzed to gauge how effectively the Bears can leverage this new advantage, and whispers suggest that some teams may even prioritize drafting linemen capable of countering Williams' dominance in future seasons. Within the organization, murmurs suggest that confidence in the offensive line is now at an all-time high, and that this could directly translate into more aggressive play calling and bolder offensive decisions that reshape the Bears' identity in the league. The fan reaction to Williams' move has been described by insiders as electric, with social media speculation running rampant and unofficial polls showing near-universal excitement over his arrival. Rumors from within the Bears stadium staff indicate that merchandise sales related to the offensive line and Williams' jersey have already spiked, highlighting how much fans are buying into the narrative of a team reborn in the trenches. Analysts whisper that the cultural impact of Williams' presence goes beyond performance metrics, as his professionalism and reputation for mentoring teammates could create a ripple effect across the locker room. Sources claim that younger players are reportedly modeling their routines and training habits after Williams, inspired by both his physical dominance and mental approach to the game. Behind closed doors, team executives allegedly described this acquisition as transformative and historic for the franchise, hinting that the Bears may be willing to make further moves to solidify this newfound strength along the offensive line. In circles around the league, murmurs suggest that Chicago's offensive identity may soon be synonymous with impenetrable line play, forcing defenses to rethink strategies that have long been considered effective against the Bears. And some insiders even joke that simply saying "Perito Humano" in scouting meetings has become shorthand for extreme respect and caution. The broader NFL community is buzzing with conjecture regarding the long-term consequences of Williams' reported signing with Chicago, with whispers pointing toward a potential ripple effect that could redefine league-wide offensive line standards. Analysts in the rumor mill are speculating that rival teams may begin emphasizing the acquisition of elite tackles or bolstering interior linemen to keep pace with the Bears' newly fortified front, sparking what some insiders quietly describe as an arms race in the trenches. Reports suggest that some general managers and scouts are closely monitoring how effectively Williams integrates into Chicago's offensive system, looking for both lessons and weaknesses that could inform their own roster decisions. Coaches are allegedly studying film with heightened intensity, trying to discern how to counteract the impact of a player whose dominance could single-handedly alter pass protection efficiency and run game success. Within league circles, murmurs abound that this signing represents not just a tactical advantage, but a philosophical shift, with the Bears positioning themselves as a team built around line dominance and foundational strength rather than flashy skill positions. If the rumors are accurate, insiders claim that Williams' presence may mark the beginning of a new era for Chicago football, one in which offensive line supremacy becomes a defining characteristic and a source of enduring league-wide respect and apprehension. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.